Hello, and welcome to one of the last animation commentaries. Well, at the moment, good. Hang on. I do not want any sound, thank you. Um, anyway, so yeah, these animations are put on hold. Sadly, there was not a lot of attention despite the promotion, and there are definitely reasons why I can guess that, and there are much more entertaining ways to tell these stories. Uh, but anyway, but I think firstly, the pixel, because as I'm okay at 2D drawing, I'm not the best. It's just something I'm slowly getting better at. But just after coming across this pixels style, which I've um, seen every now and again, especially with the NES games, I just I was quite inspired by it, and yeah, everything looks a bit simplistic at times, but it can still tell everything apart, and yeah, and just all the colours are there, and you can definitely tell which character is which, especially when looking at other content of mine, like the books, yeah, just very similar to the books, yeah, the storybooks which are made. Um, but yeah, so there's only these two that are made so far, and um, yeah, if there's like a sudden resurgence, then maybe I might make more. But yeah, like I said, yeah, this hasn't been very popular. I think one reason is because I think a lot of the visual storytelling is a bit confusing at times. Not to mention there's a lot of waiting time as well, so it's a bit of a slog to go through, which is a bit of a shame really, because there's just a lot there to watch. But regardless, anyway, so you have the title sequence, not to mention the four cubes at the background. They represent each of their elements, which you all know if you've read the books or all the novels. They work as well. And yeah, the storybooks and the novels are pretty much their own adaptation. Like, if anything, the novels are just far better versions than the storybooks, because there's not only more story, but there's more improvements. So this is pretty much an adaptation, on its own. And I've come up with a different beginning because I did want to make this film as brief as possible. Because at the start, of this particular book, it's the founding trio fighting the Flamos. To introduce each member and how they are, and despite fighting well, they're not working as a team as well. And not to mention, Zami's already working at a base, being an alien disguised as a human, and he's nearly kicked out of the base only to then join. But then I came up with a different beginning, one which I think is a bit more entertaining, and yeah, so the idea of sending out a signal and um, yeah, send out a signal and then just gather of help of aliens across the galaxy, which yeah, I think that could raise a question of I think it's a bit risky because of the villains I'm for being out and about, um, but maybe I could have highlighted that in another story, or maybe Earth is willing to take the risk to send out the signal despite the danger out and about. But anyway, so that's the year, and it's Earth in Pangea, so we know what the setting is. Yeah, due to Earth's advancements, it's becoming a bit more bombarded. Um, there's something special that the Earth has. Um, Earth's army scattered all over. I think that was the case in the novels. I might be wrong, but actually no. I think I want to say that all the servicemen were defending that base on that day, but in this case, it was just a lot of the forces being stretched thin all across the Earth, and yeah, that's the Legion, and the Cichlid is sent. Okay, so we've got a good amount of context. So anyway, the next scene we see is Zami arriving, and he must have got there through an escape pod or something, because as you'll then see, once it passes, of course. And not to mention, you'll see what the style is like. So yeah, just foreground, background, beach, sea, and the sky. The base at the moment does look like a block, which I guess makes it a bit more mysterious actually. Because it's meant to be a secret base, and you're not sure how Zami would have flew if his vehicle's on wheels. So yeah, it doesn't even transform. So that's a problem with a change in the beginning. Because in the novel, it was a vehicle already built on Earth, and it's a wheeled vehicle that then turns into a flying one. Which that follows through well, but unlike this. But anyway, so it's off the thing. That's Retron. The idea of him being against aliens is maintained, and he probably sees Sammy as another threat there, only for Mike to come along and say, oh, he's part of my Legion, and thanks to the text scroll or just the text, you can guess what that's about. Bit of waiting time there, but never mind. Also, I feel like these images above the head should have been within subtitles. That would have been far better. There's a window, a open vault on the left, and a test dummy, which so even Mike right there, he's like, hey, this is a new member. Cole there is saying thank you, and Arvid's having a practice. Nicole then practices. Pod throws his trident, so he doesn't have his eye powers yet. Sammy then has a go with his zapper, and some flames are caused, and then he's like, oh, sorry. And because once again it's going for a more consistent colour scheme, and in this universe fire is a light blue, and because it should just be more in line with the elements. Anyway, so this is Retron's room, and he sees that a ship's around, and the ship's far away. It's highlighted, just very light. So they see this ship, and they're like, oh, what we're going to do about it. Mike is like, oh, they're probably going to go after, what's in Mount Le Bon over there. And also, I really like, I think the projection could have, at the bottom, I think it still could have been like a digital set, but I think they should have been like just lower the opacity to make it more of a, just a bit more of a projection. But regardless, there's the base land, the Arctic in the middle, and the mountain land. Nicole's asking about a car, and then Zami's like, oh, I have a car, and so off they go away from the base. Ship's still there, and then, oh, okay, so the servicemen, they all scattered around the Earth at a point where these Mike and Retron have to fight them off. Anyway, they're fighting and shooting beams, and even the beam shot there, so the Nitrobots, as you can see, because they're robots that do have life force, so they're almost like living beings, and so they're shooting like beams which are lime green to match for the life, and the blue lasers on the left, they they come from the element Forza, which is a bit more lightning based, but except lasers are just a different form of electricity, and especially when it's a stun or a kill version of the lasers. Not to mention in the middle, that's meant to be an explosion that comes from the earth element. I think that's the weird thing about going for a limited colour scheme, is that it does make things unfamiliar. At least blue fire kind of exists, but green explosions, it's a tad off, but you can somewhat tell, especially as one of the Nitrobots threw a device earlier. You can see the cars being used as cover. Tanks in progress. There's Orpheum trying to upgrade himself, but anyway, he spots a vehicle, and so that's where he's like, oh, go after this vehicle. So they go after the vehicle flips, and they're in the rocky area. Nicole shoots down the craft, everyone's coming out. So Zami's in trouble. One of the Nitrobots is down, well, many thanks to Arvin. And Pod does this massive leap, which is cool. And there's Dion right there, that's just flew in to help. Because in the novels, he does have his own scene to be introduced before he meets the Legion, but more similar to the storybook, he just comes in and you know, and helps them pretty much immediately. But he does. Yeah, anyway, it just helps with the fight. He does get shot, which means he sadly loses his flight because Dion is almost like the Superman of this story, and he yeah, because if he's not invincible, you know what his weakness is, because he's very good at resisting physical hits, but when it comes to energy, that does affect his system, and a good shot to the back like that, and it can recover, but obviously can't fly yet, so that's where he's stuck with the Legion for a little bit. But anyway, the other Nichbots are down, and Ghost lost his flight trying to be a rocket, and it's crossed over. Everyone else is a bit still, so it looks a tad off, which is, yeah, never mind. Anyway, so Bob's in the driver's seat, accurate to both the novel and storybook. Arvin in the bottom left is starting to make a move on the machine. You at least see that machine in action, see what it is. Nikolon and Dion are, their bodies now pretty much flanking each other. Not to mention, Dion has different colours because I remember in the storybooks he didn't really look like, a Nichbot like the others, but now he just has a similar colour scheme to the Nichbots, but just a tad lighter, so there's just enough similarities and differences, not to mention the green eyes too. This is inside the Automaton, the vehicle, and you can see Sammy's feeling a bit down, but also similar to the books. Sees him, and that was meant to be training to fight, but not really very well communicated. Don't know how they got that camera feed, but oh well. So he sees that the vehicle's off, and so that's where it has the eruption, calling for Zynvol's help. And this is the first time we see Zynvol, because in both the storybook and the novel, Orpheus and Zynvol do have a scene together, communicating their share of the life force. But now this is the first time we see him, making Zynvol a bit more mysterious. And Orpheus like, I just sent these Nichbots, they just lost. Please have the goons, and so that's where Zynvol's like, all right, fine, send them away. And yeah, now they're off to the Arctic. These guys, because the goons can teleport. Yeah, because in the novels they have a teleporting device that specifically goes from the deep fortress in the the deep areas of space, and it takes them to this location. And once the device is used again, it takes them back to the fortress. So it's like a quick transporting method, but obviously not the most flexible teleporting device. Don's helping spot the vehicle, and normally all of these characters are animated individually, but as you'll see later on when they're looping and fighting against one another, they're drawn at the same time. And so off they go, fighting their own goons. First one's trying to fight, and now he's gone because thanks Nicole. Moloch below is trying to put off Dion, but Dion is still holding the vehicle. Sammy helped Arvin, now Ravicon's gone. And thanks to teamwork, Marvin and Sammy together defeat Ekron. And so I think there's a rocket showing that Dion has his strength back. Then he places the vehicle away from the ditch that was created. And okay, a bit flashed then, but oh well. Alright, so he senses a tank, and off he goes. Also like the novel, because although in the novel it was actually helping Earth and then just having to help throughout the galaxy because of the galaxy being in much need of help, knowing that the Legion's already in a good capable position. But in this case it's just the tank problem just coming in immediately. So he's having to sort that out. All the goons are down as to transported back. Zynvol's a bit annoyed. And off they arrived in the mountain. Yeah, there's a lot of waiting time, isn't there? go through the gap of the mountain. And also fun facts, so Easter eggs of the storybook, so those are the statues from book 3, the statue beings. That's meant to be a Paternoster's race, especially with the massive cloak. That is Hellwolf's Haywan, I think, the second form of Hellwolf, which you actually see in the following film. That's a smaller Titran in book 3 and 4, the large dinosaur beings, and that's Vetra's race, who you see in book 5. So just some cool Easter eggs at first, but yeah, in the book, my story, life force has been like spreading around this cave, with the vegetation and having these spirits around, and yeah, and now they're gonna take the machine to the life force. Pod's defending, the big guys defending whilst they take life force, and off they go, escaping in the mountain. In the novel, it's far more of an obstacle. They have to like fight both them and even sentinel plants as well, being active and trying to defend themselves. But the Legion, needs the life force, and not to mention the novel accounts for the reason why they get hold of this life force is because it'll be better protected at the base, because this mountain in the novel, it does have defenses, but obviously that's missing in the animation. But obviously those defenses weren't enough to hold Orphean's forces, unlike the base, despite the base's failure. Anyway, so they nearly get back to the vehicle, but then that's where the tank arrives with a special device. Oh, a bit of a waiting time, never mind. So they run away into the forest. So Zemi shoots the device off. Oh, Nicole's been duplicated. Oops. Oh well. Shield up, but she fires the laser, pods down. And Arvin then has the clever idea using the life force against the tank. I really like this segment. Yeah, in my story, the vegetation becomes strong at a point where it like crushes the tank, and yeah, very cool idea. So anyway, that's sorted, and so the device at the side, it was designed to get hold of the life force once it identifies it, but because Arvin possesses life force, it gets hold of him instead. So yeah, it senses it with the green light in, an arm's grabbed hold of Arvin, it closes and off it shoots, and no one has these big guys being like, oh no, he's been taken. And then Orphean, who's completed, bit not best animated, but oh well. So that's where he's like, what, how's he got him? But then he flashes green, and then you can see in the diagram that the life force, is in him, and then it will provide the location for him, and obviously that's the location bit there. Yeah, just like the novel, except the novel does have, or because my novels don't have dialogue, but it is described that Orphean, tries to justify his actions to him, and then Arvin gets locked up, which I don't think we see, but could be implied. Right, so the vault is, that closed before the machine got on the thing. Oh well. Right, but yeah, Sammy found Arvin's location. In the novel, they have an argument, especially with Podman not being keen on the team, especially with Arvin being taken away. But because of this animation being a bit more brief, that means that a lot of these story elements are dialed down to make this thing far more efficient, especially in the style and the way it has to be taught. Or taught? No, like demonstrated. Anyway, so instead of the whole of the forces, it's just Orphean. Now he's fully upgraded, he's fully capable and taken on the base. Fights at the base, and everyone's here to help fight. And then Pod's down, and Nicole tried to contact Dion, and everyone's inside. Well, yeah, the other two. But yeah, Pod down. Yep, there you go. Dion's out of reach. Both try and fire at him. That's Retron knocked out. Well, both of them partially. And so then that's where, like, oh yeah, there you go. Moves. Sorry, that's a lot going on. So yeah, he shoots the vault. That's supposed to machine, and then he steps back to move Mike outside. But Hang on. Yeah, sorry about that. I thought something was coming along. But anyway, Orphan took a step back, which knocks Mike out the window. But, Sammy now needs to go and save Mike whilst Orphan gets hold of the device. Yeah, definitely reasonable to save someone despite the machine being vulnerable. And Mike has lost his pistol as well. So off Sammy goes. Orphan's got the thing, he flies off. And then that's where it leads to the scene where Retron's like, oh, go away. And so that's where Sammy does. In line with the novel. Because in this case, Sammy was the last line of defense, just like the other two versions of the story. And I think, oh dear, Retron's not best animated there, because the problem with this, because with the way it's animated, it's a load of stills, hence why it's not as motionful compared to the rotoscoping animation, for instance, and when looking at the other things. But yeah, it's just like making sure these layers don't overlap, and sadly they have done at times. A lot of waiting time as well. But anyway, Mike's back at the base and Nicole and Bod are out, and that's where they try to call the army. It's hinted in the title crawl. So Retron's like, hey, let's get hold of my forces, and you can see the ship leaving as well. Well, nearly. There's just one more attack. Anyway, Mike mentions the Legion again. They're the best chance, and he's not impressed with that. So that's what he's like. I'm going to fight off the Nitrobots myself. I don't know why the Nitrobots had a white pistol then, but oh well. So off it goes, thinking he can fight them. And then that's where Mike contacts the Legion, and so Sammy's upgraded to the tone, definitely looks different. And he's trying to say, Retron's, a bit mad. And then that's where Pod stops Sammy from leaving, being like, what about him? Could do with your help. And so, yeah, and then this left an ominous, whether he joined or not. And now Orpheus now has the life force, so Arvin is trapped. And then Orpheus also has the liquid metal as well. Not the most explained, but never mind. We can assume it's an additional upgrade. Anyway, the Awesome Tone is coming. In the novels, it was the whole of his forces, but now it's the Tone. And I'm not the biggest fan of space here, because I almost want to remove those stars because the Earth looks really nice, but oh well. That's the top of the large ship. The Atone fights off one of the goons. Dion was following them as well. So Dion goes into the ship as the others fight them off. Nice teamwork. Nicole's back inside. Arvin's back thanks to Dion. And this is where, Orpheus already tried to go to Earth, and then Dion tries to push him away, only for Orpheus to push him back in. Kind of amusing, but definitely in line with the books. Oh, and now they have a star, which, Dion, once he's in a lot of damage, he does get repaired by the stars, which just slightly hinted here. Anyway, they're on top of Mount Lebon. So now this pretty cool fight. The Orpheus make a start of edge to the ground, trying to shoot at Orpheus, but Orpheus just taking it. Oh, that was liquid metal taking place, and so that's jabbed Dion, and John's trying to fight back. Cool finishing move, a load of wax, and I really like that repetitive move there. Yeah, that was a lot of motion there. Anyway, Dion sadly aside, but now the Cole shooter thing. Pod's trying to fly across, even though his size wasn't quite matched. Nicole's on the left. She's trying to say, hey, Dion, now you've been healed, you can go back up to the ship, presumably after I think Arvin did provide Dion the star. And then Sammy's on his way to the duplicated weapon. Pod's trying to go out of Orpheus, and Dion squeezes in one more shot to take Orpheus down. I think on the right of Pod there, I think that's just another bit of metal falling off, I'm not sure. But regardless, Sammy struggles to release the weapon even after applying lightning, but I think that's where Arvin comes to help. And oh, okay, that's what it was. Yes, so because the liquid metal plus the life force equals metallic plants, and our body's trapped. So he struggles. True on the right, trying to pull the weapon out. You can see how it's sourced in the ground. I hope it was communicated that this weapon on the ground is meant to spawn even more niche bots. Hopefully that was highlighted. Oh wait, no, yes it is. In the following scene. Anyway, Orphan's using liquid metal again. I like how he flashes. Liquid metal knocks Nicole away, and then the grenade is thrown. That distracts Orphean, and then Pod gets the metal off him somehow, and then device is thrown off. Just pulled out the ground. Them uses the lightning to shoot their weapon towards Orphean. This hits Orphean, and with the effects removed from the ground, now a tree grows within Orphean, and yeah, wow, I really like that transformation. I'm satisfied. But yeah, just good use of teamwork as well. So Orphean's defeated, and you can see Mark's in the car. So you can see how the grass, it spawns all these niche bots for Mike and Retron to fight, but Mike just using a more efficient method whilst Retron tried to show off, and you can see the dirt on the ground on the right on the niche bots coming out. But regardless, all of them are done. The ground's fine, and he's probably a bit cross that he didn't do much to the fight. And Dion also destroys the ship with a single missile, apparently. And then that's where he analyzes that he's the last one. And yeah, because at this point it could have looked like one more Nitrobots out and about, which I guess could have been a cool future idea. That can act as a good spin-off, but no, it's just meant to say that Dion's the last of his kind. Anyway, they thank Dion. Off he goes. And Mike's like, "Hey, the president's come to see us, and he's come to praise us." And then he's like, "Yeah, well done, you're a good team now." And then that pretty much leads to or nearly. So Zarvor's trying to call Orpheum, but no luck. Be able to be done through the communication spell, and there's all of the goons around the table, and yeah, and the Zarvor's been revealed. So yeah, he's an interesting baddie to be revealed. That was better than I thought on the watch, because I thought there was just a lot of waiting time, and I think there was more of a problem with the following one. But if anything, there probably could have been too much to watch, because I think one reason why I really like the fight between Orphean and Dion is because it's just focusing on that. But if you just like watching these multiple things at once, I think that does make a bit of a struggle at times, because even right here there's just a very clear with who you're watching. But yeah, there is a couple of problems in the story. Like I said, Zami coming to this planet despite using the wheels instead of an aircraft. There's no defenses around the mountain. And just because once you read the novels, you can definitely tell how there's a lot of context to everything. But yeah, this is just an extremely simple story, version of the story, which is not bad. Yeah, definitely not a bad thing. Achieves what it needs, but yeah, like I said, it's just a bit of a trade-off. Even if it's a bit simple on the visual side of things, I still really like the visual style. Just nice pixelated, very retro, and and there's I've tried enough effort with the abilities and with what everyone can do, and I still like the novel version the best. Never the best version of the story, and the same could be said with the second film I made as well. But yeah, you can see how this is similar to the storybook as well. Like the Easter eggs here, you can see that the the overlapping or the flashing has been a problem every now and again. I think there could be times where it's not very clear because you know when you're the creator, you understand your own story better than anyone, and yeah, I think that's pretty much the case. Because I remember people watching this, the little people who, well, the small group who have seen this, they like it, but they don't understand it at times. So, oh yeah, that's just disappeared. Oh well. But yeah, I think a lot of things could have been clearer, maybe a bit more detail, perhaps. But regardless, you know, I just like the style. I like a lot of the parts of this fight scenes. I like how it's adapted. Each character is quite distinct, and Beyond's design has been improved absolutely. Also, the credits are kind of fun. A lot of colour in that. And yeah, even right here is Earth. A couple of bits that's made me laugh as well, you know, such as the back and forward here, and I like Mike using the truck later, well, the car later on, so that's good. Yeah, moments like these need to speed walls, and no one, and yeah, I think because of the text being a bit forgettable, perhaps you won't know that Metron trying to contact the army there. But yeah, so just a lot of flaws, but just charming at places. And I think next time I'll just go more in depth with why I decided to create this this pentology of animations. But regardless, yeah, we'll stop it right there, and I'll see you next time.